morning, viewers, and welcome to our Friday. Good morning, viewers, and welcome to our Thursday edition of the Economy and Politics Show. It's September 17, 2020, and we'd like to welcome you from Nigeria and across the world, all our viewers, and trust you had a very great time watching our program so far. Today, we always look at sub-nationals and developments across states in the country because it's very important. As we look at the federal level, we also look at the developments in the sub-national level. And so today we're looking at states and infrastructure, part 2 series of it. Last week, we talked about the need for how states can approach infrastructure and make efforts in unlocking potentials in the economy. So today we'll be looking at some states and what they have been doing in the area of infrastructure and make some case on how they can make it effective. Well, let's give you some stories that are occurring at the moment. And first, the lineup of what we'll look out for this morning. First, we'll begin with the unveiling of the Nigeria's 60th anniversary logo by President Muhammadu Buhari. Next, we'll talk about the federal government and Nigerian Labour Congress face-off. Currently, the talks between the federal government and Nigerian Labour Congress didn't go down well, so we want to see what is happening in that end alongside Trade Union Congress. And then we'll go down to states and infrastructure, looking at 3 states today: Lagos, Kaduna, and Akwa Ibom states. Lagos is in southwest, Kaduna in northwest, and Akwa Ibom south-south. Yesterday, at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled the 60th anniversary logo to mark Nigeria's independence coming up October 1st, 2020. Remember, it was a historic day for Nigeria when it witnessed its independence October 1st, 1960, and since then, the country has evolved through several challenges to be together as a nation. At the unveiling ceremony, he said, "Today we stand on the threshold of history as we formally begin a series of activities commemorating Nigeria's diamond anniversary. The task history has saddled with today is to proclaim a theme that will give us united, help us forge ahead, and unveil a logo that will form the critical pillars which our 11-month modest commemorative activities will rest on." Celebrating 60 years of independence really calls for pomp and pageantry, but the global COVID-19 pandemic, which has forced all nations in the world to think and act differently, has also foisted on the nation the imperative of a low-key celebration. Operating within the limitations placed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the country has created an internet challenge for Nigerians to make a choice from a set of 4 pre-selected logos that would appropriately define the theme. According to the president, the 4 options shows that Nigerians from all walks of life participated in making a choice, and he was happy to let the nation know that the logo would be unveiling is a product of choice from the Nigerian people. President Buhari said he was informed that the selected option depicts the togetherness of a country of over 200 million people whose natural talent, grit, and passion glitter like the precious diamond the country is. According to him, it's a special appreciation to most precious assets, the people of Nigeria. He says everywhere you go, Nigerians are sparkling like diamonds in the park, whether in academia, business, innovation, music, movie, entertainment, fashion, and culture. He said it's therefore with a deep feeling of national pride that I hereby announce to you that together shall be the theme of the nation's 60th anniversary celebration. He said our founding fathers, in spite of the differences in faith, tribe, and tongue, came together to fight for Nigeria's independence. This shall be a befitting tribute to the struggles of our heroes past. President Muhammadu Buhari said it is to the glory of God and in celebration of attainment of the diamond age of 60 by a great nation that he unveiled the preferred anniversary logo for this momentous occasion in the nation's history. He thanked members of the Interministerial Committee on Nigeria's 60th anniversary celebration for the work they have done so far and reminded them that this was just the beginning. If you can see the logo on the screen, it's been well received across the country, and it glitters like diamond with Nigerian colors reflecting around it. 60 is not really bad. It shows that as a country we've evolved and there's a lot to learn from. But don't worry, October 1st we'll have a special edition to discuss Nigeria at 60 and have interviews and conversations around our economy and political system. Now let's go on to the developments around labor. Recently, the federal government allowed the petroleum sector to experience some level of deregulation, and that has led to the price of premium motor spirit reviewed by the Petroleum Price Product Regulatory Agency. Officially, they pegged it at 151.50 kobo, 151.50 kobo, but marketers have pegged it as around 160. And this has created a lot of concerns for commuters as transport cost has increased and even food prices. Apart from this, there's also been the hike in electricity tariff, which of course is following a market-based approach. But recently, the Trade Union Congress gave a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to reverse the recent increase in the price of premium motor spirits. The Trade Union Congress is saying that if this is not reversed, they would take action, particularly the electricity tariff and the price of petroleum premium motor spirits. So the 7-day ultimatum is expected to elapse by next week. And in issuing the 7-day ultimatum, the Trade Union Congress made a case that considering the challenges of Nigerians, they need to reverse the increase in the electricity tariff and the price of petrol, which was a misplaced priority. The federal government in reaction said it was misplaced and does not show the real reality of the issues. Speaking further on this issue, the Minister of Labour and Productivity and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said, while this development has come up, it was important for Nigerians to understand that it was a critical issue in the country. Fielding questions from State House correspondents at the end of yesterday's Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa, the minister said the TUC had handed down the ultimatum in a letter addressed to the President, Muhammadu Buhari, dated September 4, 2020. The letter titled, "We Cannot Bear the Burden Any Longer," issuance of 7 days ultimatum, was signed by the union's president, Quadri Olaleye, and Secretary General Musa Lawal. The union said at the expiration of the ultimatum, its members shall commence an indefinite industrial action and nationwide protest from September 23, 2020. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress has given the federal government till September 28 to reverse the recent increases in the pump price of fuel and electricity tariff and also face a nationwide industrial action. This was part of the decisions reached at yesterday's Central Working Committee meeting of the NLC held in Abuja. So in a nutshell, by next week, if we do not see significant steps taken to engage labor and address the current increase in the price of premium motor spirit and electricity tariff, we may be bracing up for strike action and level of protest across the country. Flashback to 2012 when we had a subsidy protest. It took almost 5 days, almost a whole week, and a lot of socioeconomic activities were shut down. Are we going to experience this? Is the government going to engage labor? Is there going to be a middle ground and negotiation? Because this step needs to get the buy-in of the populace. If that doesn't happen, then Nigerians can begin to prepare for what may be a long haul from the industrial actions that will be taken by the NLC and TUC. This will paralyze socioeconomic activities, both for the public and private sector, and will definitely have an impact on the economy. So this calls for a lot of caution, negotiation, and engagement from the federal government and on the side of labor. It is true that it's going to have an adverse effect on the citizens, considering the fact that this period, the purchasing power parity of Nigerians is a bit low. Incomes are not rising, rather expenses are increasing, and so definitely there must be some concession. Where the concession will come in from is very important, and we'll be observing that. But next week, for all Nigerians watching, will be very critical. The TUC will definitely begin an indefinite strike action if that is not resolved, and that will dovetail into upper week, where we may see industrial action and protests from Nigerian Labour Congress. Note that every time the NLC and TUC combine efforts to carry out industrial actions, it definitely shows a huge adverse impact on the economy. Everything gets paralyzed, and that will affect the government and the citizens. So definitely, it is something that we'll all be watching to see how it is managed from the fiscal policy side and the implications for the states, including the states too. So let's go on to developments across the states. It's a sub-national day. We look at sub-nationals on Thursday. But before we continue this session, let's take a break, and when we return, we'll continue with states and infrastructure.
When we first met, the first question I asked was,
where have you been all my life?
Since then, we have taken every step together.
Especially when the kids were schooling abroad. Oh, how we made it through those years.
When we shared the same passion,
The same drive.
and the same vision to succeed. Let's help you achieve your visions and aspirations, milestone by milestone. FCMB, my bank and I.
Welcome back, and we continue our conversation on subnationals. As you all know, subnationals are very important in development of Nigeria because they are viewed as being close to the local governments and by that extension, the grassroots. And so whatever happens at the state level is of great importance because apart from federal, the activities have impact on the populace. Today we're looking at 3 states. Last week we talked about infrastructure, the benefits of infrastructure, and why states need to even prioritize their infrastructure and see how they create viability for their respective states. We also are aware that in this period of the global crude oil price shock and uncertainty and volatility and the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disrupted global supply chain activities and economy, states in terms of revenues may not be getting as much as before from the federal account allocation and even from the entire generated revenue. So how they carry out the infrastructure projects, how they prioritize them, and how they even engage private sector for support in terms of attracting capital investment will become our top watch in this segment. So we'll be looking at those developments even apart from today in subsequent editions. So we just decided to take out 3 states today to look at what's really happening in terms of infrastructure, in terms of activities, even down to social interventions measures, what is really happening. We will do this round across other states in the country just to bring to the spot what is happening. Last week we took up very objective analysis and took on states in terms of development. So let's see what's really happening too from their side. These are sourced from their official state government sources and information. And we also have a note also from the things that we will bring forth on how best they can be addressed. We begin with Lagos State. Lagos State is, it has the profile of Nigeria's economic capital and is West Africa's commercial hub. A city with over 18 million people and has over 300 ethnic nationalities represented. This is indeed the real Nigeria experience because people from different tribes come into the state and carry out their trade and activities unhindered. The massive congestion and huge pressure on infrastructure is therefore understood because the land mass of Lagos is not as huge as compared to Borno State or Niger State. The current administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is taking steps to address what has continued to be a perennial massive traffic gridlock, whether it's from the island to the mainland side, mainland to even the outskirts of Lagos. The congestion across major routes have led to public works intervention schemes and route rehabilitation projects by this current administration. Some of the projects include the palliate road work on failed sections of Lekki-Epe Expressway with the use of granite boulders and crushed stones. Those are already happening at the moment. They're carrying out several works around that to improve the Lekki-Epe Expressway axis, which has a huge population of workers, middle class, and even the elites, as you could call them. And then some of the areas worked on in that axis is the Forte Oil Station side and Ajah bound, Kajola Sawmill area, Betu Newtown bus stop, etc. And then on the other side of the mainland, there is work ongoing at the mile 12 to K2 section, which is the road linking to Ikorodu, one of the frontier cities in Lagos. Ikorodu is promising because of its tourism opportunities, in new housing settlements, urban renewal projects, and even the future project, the Fourth Mainland Bridge, which is believed that when completed will transform the entire landscape of that area. So work is ongoing and should ramp up by October ending, according to the state government. The work process, the public works rehabilitation projects, cutting across Lagos mainland, Ikeja, Etios, and Agege axis, across the entire state, is a day and night shift process. And definitely, a lot of Lagosians have raised their concerns about how all these projects are going on at the same time, causing gridlock and movements. Some people sometimes, after the close of work, may spend as long as 6-7 hours on the road, and it's quite excruciating. This comes along the guidelines on COVID-19, where by 10 p.m., they're expected to be at home for the curfew, which was recently reviewed again. But this all boils down to the fact of more coordination. While we appreciate the efforts of the Lagos State government in trying to address the state of roads across Lagos, it is important for effective coordination to ensure that the whole state is not locked down and people can move with ease. Because the state is for citizens. I mean, a situation where almost everywhere is having rehabilitation projects at intervals can really lock down the state in terms of movements. And Lagos is a logistics hub, if not the major logistics hub in Nigeria. So movements also of goods and services, movements of people from their homes to work, for those who are still going to work. We know companies that have the work from home experience for now. It is very important that the state government continues to engage citizens and explore how to ease the traffic situation. The job of the rehabilitation for roads and projects is a good one, but it must be balanced with ensuring that it does not lock down the state completely and create more congestion and stress for the citizens. This comes alongside the federal government maintenance work at the Third Mainland Bridge. That is the longest bridge in Nigeria, and that connects mainland to the island. Currently, of course, because of that maintenance work, movements from mainland to island takes several hours, and of course that traffic experience is another aspect of the challenge. So in all these projects that are going on, which are meant to improve the ease of access across the state, we call for more coordination from the state governments, working with the federal government to ensure that it does not add additional burden to the stress of Lagosians. If you ask anybody in Lagos, what is that one singular thing that you would like to be taken off, and that's the issue of traffic. You want to move in less than 10 minutes from, or less than 15 minutes from Ikorodu to K2. You want to move from K2, less than 15 minutes, to a place like Ojuelegba. But with the current situation, of course, the traffic and congestion is huge. And we hope that this whole process will be more coordinated and will help ease traffic for Lagosians. We commend the Lagos State government on their efforts, but we plead that they balance this whole project with ensuring that there are access points for Lagosians to move and it's not stressful at this period. Still talking about traffic, Lagos State government understanding that traffic is a major issue and there is need for effective traffic management is taking it seriously with its historic Lagos Traffic Radio. So in the area of traffic management, the state is taking very serious steps. And just recently, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Benga Omotosho, commissioned the Lagos Traffic Radio Report System. This is an innovation that is going to help improve live reporting of traffic situation across the states. The LTRS is an innovation designed to improve information dissemination across the states. It comes with motorcycles. That's another interesting part, as you can see on the screen. The motorcycles will enable the #1 traffic station in Nigeria have on-the-spot reporting of traffic situations in the states. Of course, challenges facilitates innovation, yes. So Mr. Mososho, in his remarks at the launch of the service, said Lagos is moving towards a transportation system driven by technology, while stating that it is going to play a key role in traffic management across Lagos. You know, for him, this is very important. Lagos also has a college looking at transportation with scholars in the area of transportation engaging on how states can manage traffic effectively. And so the issue of traffic is taken head on by the state. The Lagos Traffic Radio came on board during the administration of previous administration of Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola. And this is how states have to carry out innovation. Identify what is a perennial challenge and look at ways to address them. So this is a welcome development because you know how it is in Lagos. One tanker breaks down on the road and people may be on the road for 6-7 hours and they may have, well, call it for a day. But this is an innovation that is suited to address this challenge, and definitely we expect that this will go a long way in reducing the incidence of traffic and helping people divert routes when a particular gridlock occurs, because traffic management and innovation in that regard is very important for a state like Lagos, and taking out this initiative is a welcome development. These are the kind of things we look out for. States that identify their challenges and embed solutions and innovations around it. We hope that this project will definitely work according to its purpose, and that will help to reduce the incidence of traffic across Lagos. So Lagosians can look out for this whole service, and definitely will get further updates on how they can engage and reach out. We must say that for those of us in Lagos, driving to the road and using the Lagos Traffic Radio, it's been very effective, giving you situation reports and analysis on where there's traffic gridlock and what has to be done to avoid them and get other routes so you can get to your destination. And let's go on to Kaduna State. Kaduna State is in the northwest region of Nigeria, and it is not left out in its infrastructure renewal projects. And so far, some of the projects it's embarking on at the moment in terms of renewal, in terms of improving access, in terms of improving movement, include the dualization work ongoing at the Racecourse Road along Mursala Square. The road component at the Yakubu Gowon and Independence intersection, laying of asphalt binder course is in progress. There's also doing some work around the clock along Savon Tasha to the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Junction Road in Kaduna South, installing sustainable street light there. There's also progress going on in Rigachikun and Dogondawa Road, and of course rearrangement of concrete barriers to reduce the constant traffic experience at the Kawu Bridge. The connection and construction site is still in progress. So those are projects embarked on by the state internally to reduce the weight of congestion, to ease movements across the state, and also ensure that citizens, the burdens of movement is reduced. Those are initiatives carried out so far by the Kaduna State government. Let's move on further. Beyond the infrastructure projects carried out by the Kaduna State government, there are also efforts to improve social investment, and this is one area we've been talking about. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, states have been implored to develop a robust social investment policy whereby they can identify the vulnerable and poor people and provide some level of intervention to reduce their burden. According to the Kaduna State government's current social register, has 825,805 people who are ranked as the poorest and most vulnerable by their own communities. They are eligible for interventions targeted at addressing poverty and are funded by interested parties such as government and donor agencies across the globe. At the moment, over 30,000 of these beneficiaries are currently enjoying the conditional cash transfers. That just shows you how the state has been able to begin to leverage data collection. Recall that on this show we talked about with Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir Rufai, featured on the Covenant Christian Center program, the platform, where he told Pastor Boju Oyemade, the convener, that they were working on developing a robust social intervention register, where from that register can see how they intervene, provide support to the vulnerable and poor people in Kaduna State. So he's matched word with actions. We're seeing the collection, and of course, it's very important that it is leveraged. And Kaduna State comes to the fore because if you look at the National Bureau of Statistics reports, even the World Bank, Nigeria's poverty rate is 40.1%, over 9 million people are in the poverty bracket, and the majority of those people in the poverty bracket are from the northwest and also northeast. So Kaduna State also has its work cut out for it in terms of addressing the issue of poverty in the region, and with this kind of register and with a coherent, robust social intervention program, could go a long way to supporting the vulnerable and poor and reduce the incidents that leads to insecurity, which is fueled by poverty too. Well, let's go on to ease of doing business. Kaduna State is not resting on its oars. It's a state that has been described as a template for ease of doing business across the nation. Recently, in conjunction with the World Bank, is holding a special capacity building session at all the 23 local government secretariats for small, medium enterprises. This started since Monday, September 14th, and is scheduled to close today, holding from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day. And topic of the training is how to do business. And this is designed by the state government in partnership with the World Bank and looking at improving the ease of doing business. This, of course, shows Kaduna State's commitment to lead in governance and enabling policy environment for businesses to scale and create wealth and opportunities. And this is something that other states can learn from, because from the fiscal side, since inception, we must say that Malam Nasir Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, has been leading in terms of fiscal responsibility, budgeting processes. He's always been the first to present his budget and the first whose budget is signed and passed and signed into law by the State Assembly. This is also manifest in attracting investment into the states in terms of the policy environment. Notable investment like the agro-allied industries, the big Olam investments, the biggest hatchery in sub-Saharan Africa is in Kaduna State, and several other investments has come into the states because of the policy environment. But in as much as, yes, the infrastructure neural projects are well noted and ease of doing business and social intervention projects are ongoing, we bring to the fore the need for security in the state to be given all the attention that is needed. The support required from the governor and his team is very important, particularly the situation in southern Kaduna and other parts of the state. It's quite unfortunate that bandits and various militias and various groups have been fighting. There's been the issues between the Fulani and the people in the southern region of Kaduna State. We call for cooperation from all stakeholders in the state to mitigate these incidents of violence, killings, and destruction of properties, particularly in southern Kaduna and other parts of Kaduna State. Security is very critical in Kaduna because as a state that continues to lead in policy environment, in governance, security must continue to be at the forefront of its activities. And so we call for efforts by the Kaduna State government, working with even the military apparatus which it has there. The Nigerian Defense Academy is in Kaduna State. It has military operations in Kaduna State. All security networks there should continue to work together to ensure that the state is safe for everyone, irrespective of tribe, religion, or tongue. Also, it's important that the Ministry of Transport, Nigerian Port Authority, and the Kaduna State government work closely to ensure that the inland dry port, remember the inland dry port, that was the dry port opened in Kaduna State, is made viable and serves the northwest and northeast, especially the agro belt, because that axis is the agro belt of Nigeria. So if that inland dry port is effective as is expected, it will help to serve the agro belt, and that will be good. We need more of that, apart from in Kaduna State, some other parts of the country. But how the Kaduna inland dry port functions will give a clarity for other regions in the country. Let's get on to Akwa Ibom State, which is our last state in focus today. Akwa Ibom has found aviation industry as an opportunity for it to drive industrialization, tourism, and overall economic activities. It's the only state in Nigeria that currently has in operation an airline service called Ibom Air. Ibom Air is a public-private partnership venture and has provided some relief to citizens who used to pay huge amounts for flights from Lagos to Uyo and even Abuja to Uyo flights. The Ibom Air service has moved from the Uyo route to cover services from Lagos, Abuja, and just recently Enugu. With 5 aircrafts in its fleet, the airline is steadily building momentum in the aviation space. Aviation experts have applauded the excellent service provided by Ibom Air, but has made a strong case for 0% political interference in the service. That is to the Akwa Ibom State government's commendation on the service so far, but maintain a 0 political interference in the activities of the airline. So in essence, the sustainability of the Ibom Air service hinges on high value for professionalism and a pro-private sector management approach. This is a good service, a good initiative, but its sustainability hinges on professionalism and a pro-private sector management approach. Apart from the Ibom Air service, the airport terminal is a project that the state government is taking seriously. It's an international airport terminal, and it's looked at as a world-class facility. As part of these efforts, the government is stepping up operations there and is looking at completing this world-class airport terminal. The state-of-the-art terminal, which is expected to provide competition in sub-Saharan African airspace with a view to becoming a leading aviation hub in the continent. According to the Commissioner for Special Duties, Right Honorable Okpolumete, the international terminal building is designed to meet the highest level of intelligence and smart building standard and will match any of the internationally ranked airport terminals when completed. The building, when completed, will have 5 bridges, 7 lifts, 4 escalators, staircases, outlets of an international airport runway, and will also have a sick bay and staff lodge. This again is a laudable initiative from the Akwa Ibom State government, but it should be tied to a private sector-led management and investment vehicle, covering areas like facilities management, which has been the bane of Nigeria. We build good airport terminals, but we don't manage them well, and also the operations of the entire terminal. At this time, with challenging revenue situations for states across the country, an enabling policy environment could attract multi-billionaire investments into Akwa Ibom through the axis of the aviation hub. And that is something that Akwa Ibom State can take note of, and it will really transform the landscape. Just to ramp up by telling you about the budget state of states reports coming out next week. But before we get to that, let's take a breather. When we return, we'll ramp up this show.
When we first met, the first question I asked was,
Where have you been all my life?
Since then, we have taken every step together.
especially when the kids were schooling abroad. Oh, how we made it through those years.
When we shared the same passion,
The same drive.
and the same vision to succeed. Let's help you achieve your visions and aspirations, milestone by milestone. FCMB, my bank and I.
Welcome back. Like I said earlier, this program is dedicated to subnationals, looking at what's happening in subnationals, and Budget, an advocacy, policy advocacy group, which clocked recently 9 years and has been a very strategic partner working with the likes of Proceed and just leading financial information hub, providing information and strategic services and driving advocacy and calling governments to account and be transparent in their activities. We'll be launching a State of the States report next week, Thursday. That's September 24th, 2020. It promises to be a very interesting event, and we'll have as special guest of honor the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Keynote speaker at the event will be Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi, the chairman of ProShare Nigeria. That event, once again, will bring to the fore activities of the states, how they're operating, and the need for efficiency in governance and unlocking potentials for growth and development. Like I said earlier, if states are operating as they ought to and are carrying out effective governance, carrying out projects that will have economic viability and impact on the citizens, it will definitely have a ripple effect across the country. So you don't want to miss that event happening next week. And join WebTV, www.proshare.com, and WebTV Live to get a live transmission of that event, its activities, and what will happen that day. So we'll be broadcasting that live, so you don't want to miss it next week, Thursday, September 24th, 2020. And that'll be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. You can send your comments and views to news@prochange.com, and also watch our videos, read our reports and analysis by logging on to our website, www.prochange.com. watch out for our market review by 10 a.m. as we discuss developments in the financial and capital market as it relates to the economy. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.